Faust is not stupid. That is precisely the problem. When Goethe introduces Faust, he is careful to remove the most comforting explanation for what follows. Faust is not ignorant. He is not naive. He is not young. He has done everything the Western intellectual tradition tells you to do. He has mastered philosophy, law, medicine, and theology, and found that none of them answer the question they implicitly promise to answer. Why does any of this satisfy so little? Faust is not starving for knowledge. He is overdosed on it. His despair is not the result of error, but of saturation. He has believed carefully, studied faithfully, and waited patiently for meaning to arrive as a conclusion. It never does. This matters because the pact with Mephistopheles is almost always misread as a failure of judgment. Surely Faust should know better. Surely this is where reason collapses. But that interpretation flatters the reader at Faust's expense. Logically speaking, Faust understands the bargain perfectly, and that is what makes it disturbing. Mephistopheles offers everything: experience without limit, sensation without remainder, the entire world set in motion. In exchange, he asks for one thing only: Faust's soul. Pause there. Not morally, logically. Why does a metaphysical force of negation need a human soul at all? Why bargain? Why not deceive, coerce, or destroy? The answer is simple and uncomfortable. Because the soul has value. Not symbolic value. Absolute value. So much value that it can be placed against infinity without irony. Mephistopheles never questions this. Devils, it turns out, are excellent theologians. Faust, however, refuses to draw the obvious conclusion. This is the central irony of Faust and its most modern insight. Faust spends his life demanding proof of God that satisfies the intellect, while standing inside a transaction that only makes sense if God, and the moral structure that follows, already exists. The pact itself presupposes meaning. One might even say that Mephistopheles believes in the soul more coherently than Faust does. So why doesn't Faust see it? Because despair is not cured by logic. Faust does not doubt that the soul exists. What he doubts is whether it is enough. When he laments that two souls dwell in my breast, he is not rejecting transcendence. He is crushed by it. The soul promises meaning but delivers restlessness. God may be real, but God is silent. Knowledge may be vast, but it does not console. Faust is not seeking truth. He is seeking confirmation that truth can satisfy. This is where Faust's agency becomes unavoidable. The pact is not a misunderstanding. It is a challenge. Faust treats the agreement not as a sale, but as an experiment. If there exists a moment capable of fully satisfying him, then damnation would be justified. If no such moment exists, then the soul's promise of fulfillment is exposed as hollow. This is not rebellion. It is an audit. And Mephistopheles understands this perfectly. He does not argue against God. He does something far more effective. He offers acceleration, motion, experience without interruption, becoming without reflection. Faust will not be damned by pleasure, but by never stopping long enough to recognize anything. The infamous clause, that Faust loses his soul if he ever says to a moment, "Stay, you are so fair," is not about indulgence. It is about rest, about recognition. Salvation requires the capacity to stop. Damnation requires perpetual dissatisfaction. Faust wagers that rest is impossible, and Faust is very good at being dissatisfied. This is the tragedy's sharpest edge. Faust believes he is trading something uncertain for something concrete. But the bargain reveals the opposite. His soul, fragmented, yearning, exhausted, is already worth everything. The proof he seeks is embedded in the price Mephistopheles is willing to pay. Had Faust been able to recognize this, the pact would collapse under its own logic. One does not meaningfully bargain with what one already knows to be priceless. But Faust cannot accept this, because it would require believing that his finite, incomplete existence already participates in meaning. That striving itself might testify to God's reality. He does not reject God. He rejects the possibility that he himself could serve as evidence. This places Faust firmly at the threshold of modernity. He embodies the conviction that meaning must be demonstrable, experiential, and confirmable. That it must arrive as an event rather than a given. The soul is insufficient not because it lacks value, but because it does not behave like proof. Mephistopheles does not corrupt Faust's values. He operationalizes them. In this sense, Mephistopheles is not the antagonist of Faust, but its logical conclusion. He removes friction. He smooths continuity. Hell, in Goethe's vision, is not fire or punishment. It is seamless experience. Desire without interruption. Motion without recognition. Faust does not sell his soul because he thinks it worthless. He sells it because he suspects it is not enough. Goethe's brilliance lies in refusing to make this failure contemptible. Faust is not damned for curiosity or ambition or doubt. He is damned for mistaking endless experience for transcendence and motion for meaning. The devil does not trick him. Faust collaborates, out of exhaustion. This is why Faust does not belong to its century. It belongs to any age confident in its intellect and uncertain of its meaning. The pact is not folklore. It is diagnostic. It reveals what happens when the hunger for certainty eclipses the capacity for recognition. Faust seeks proof of God while standing inside a transaction that presupposes him. The answer arrives, not as revelation, but as an offer. And Faust is too tired to understand at what cost.